Ever wonder why the guy with 3 yachts looks more stressed than your neighbor with a nice sedan and a solid 401k? Turns out the happiness industrial complex has been hiding a dirty little secret in plain sight. Imagine you're standing at the base of a mountain called contentment, and every dollar you earn is supposed to be another step up. Someone sold you that dream, right? They promised the view gets better and better the higher you climb. But here's the thing nobody mentions in those Finance Bro podcasts. Around $75,000 a year, give or take, depending on where you live, the climb starts feeling flat. You're still moving, still accumulating, but the view, basically the same. Now picture yourself as a researcher watching thousands of people report their daily moods. You're tracking their income, their smiles, their 3 a.m. anxiety spirals. What pattern emerges? Up to a point, money is pure magic. It transforms your life from which bill do I skip this month to I can afford the dentist without having a panic attack. That shift, genuinely life-changing. Every dollar that rescues you from financial terror delivers measurable happiness. You sleep better, stress less, smile more. The data doesn't lie about this part. But then something fascinating happens around that 75 to 90,000 mark. The happiness curve doesn't keep shooting upward like some motivational speaker promised. It bends, flattens, basically shrugs. You've entered the zone of diminishing returns, my friend. Welcome to the part of the story they don't advertise on luxury car commercials. Here's where it gets weird. You'd think billionaires would be walking on sunshine 24/7, right? Masters of the universe, living their best lives, radiating joy from their penthouses. Instead, you find anxiety about wealth preservation, paranoia about who's really their friend, and an endless hedonic treadmill that would exhaust an Olympic athlete. Turns out, infinite resources create infinite complications. Meanwhile, your solidly upper middle class neighbor, the one with the paid off mortgage and the occasional nice vacation, reports happiness levels that would make those billionaires weep into their vintage wine. How does that math work? Because once you clear the threshold of security, happiness becomes about things money can't scale. Relationships, purpose, community, autonomy. You can't just throw more cash at those and expect proportional returns. The billionaire can buy 1,000 experiences, but can't buy the simple peace of not wondering if people like them for their personality or their portfolio. That's the invisible tax nobody talks about. Think about it this way. Going from broke to comfortable is like going from black and white to color television. Going from comfortable to obscenely rich, that's like adding 17 more shades of beige. Some economists call this the Easterlin paradox, but you don't need a PhD to see it playing out. Just watch the faces at a country club versus a neighborhood barbecue. The person scraping by who suddenly lands a decent job experiences a genuine transformation in well-being. Their whole world opens up. Options appear where there were none. But the person going from 10 million to 100 million, they're basically rearranging deck chairs on an already luxurious yacht. New problems, same emotional baseline. Here's the satirical part nobody wants to admit. We've built an entire economy on the promise that more always equals better. Advertising, social media, lifestyle influencers, all selling the same lie. Yet, the research keeps screaming the same uncomfortable truth. After basic needs and reasonable comforts are met, chasing more wealth is like trying to get drunk on water. Diminishing returns doesn't begin to cover it. Cue the think pieces about grateful billionaires and their philanthropic missions, but scratch the surface, and you find people just as restless and dissatisfied as anyone else. Sometimes more so. The irony is almost poetic. The people with infinite choices often report feeling trapped by them. The people with enough choices, they're out here living their lives without an existential crisis every Tuesday. And society keeps pushing this narrative that you're one big break away from happiness, one promotion, one investment win. But the data suggests you might already be in the sweet spot if you're not worrying about rent. So what happens when this reality hits mainstream consciousness? When people realize the game is rigged to keep them chasing a happiness level they may have already reached. The system adapts, naturally. New products, new aspirations, new ways to convince you that contentment is just one purchase away. Innovation always finds a loophole in human psychology. Despite decades of research showing the plateau effect, we still worship at the altar of unlimited accumulation. The same old story, new packaging, same existential emptiness at the top. That upper middle class sweet spot with security, options, and freedom from financial terror might actually be the peak. Everything after that is just altitude sickness marketed as achievement. But here's a real twist. Understanding this doesn't change the hunger, does it? We're wired to want more, even when more delivers less. That's the game behind every aspirational Instagram post and luxury brand campaign. That's why your neighbor with the modest but comfortable life might be onto something the billionaire class will never quite grasp. Enough is a radical concept in a world that profits from never. So next time someone tells you money can't buy happiness, they're half right. It absolutely can until it can't. And that threshold is way lower than anyone wants to admit.